fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Troop Builder Multipack from the Transformers Buzzworthy Bumblebee line from Hasbro. This consists of 4 troop building figures. We have Decepticon Seeker, the Quintesson Trooper, the G2 Universe Cybertronian Trooper, and the Animated Universe Auto Trooper. So these are all mostly repaints and retools. I mean, in the Decepticon Seeker's case, in my opinion, it's just Thundercracker, but we'll get there. But you can see this 4-pack comes with some beautiful artwork here on the front. It is that plastic-free packaging, so we don't get to see the figures inside. We just have this really nice artwork here on the front. And because it is part of the Buzzworthy Bumblebee line, it is a Target exclusive. I got mine online, but they have been showing up in stores. I've seen them in stores as well, so it shouldn't be too hard to find these if you are looking for them. Up here you can see these are the 4 characters that are included, but we also get some multiple different heads and things like that, so you can kind of customize them a little bit, and we'll get into all of that. Nothing really going on down here. Over here on the side, we have that Buzzworthy Bumblebee, style of packaging with a couple other characters like Optimus and Megatron over here on the side. And then on this side, just have a picture of Bumblebee. Flipping it around to the back, we get product shots of the robot mode and vehicle mode, or alt mode in these guys' case, for everything, all 4 here. And you can see the different heads that are included, so there is some customizable options there. Although I think the Seeker is just kind of bare bones. That's what you get. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one, so I'm going to go ahead and get all these guys out of the packaging here, and we will take a closer look. So here are our 4 troop builders. These 3 come packaged in vehicle mode, and the Quintesson Troopers in robot mode, because his alt mode is basically just the same thing but spun around 180, so there's not really a more compact way to package him. But I think they did a pretty great job with these. They're a lot of fun. I will admit that this is more of a kind of periwinkle than blue. It's kind of got a little bit of a purplish to it, so I understand where they're pulling this from. There were like some of these Seekers on Cybertron in the background. I don't know that they ever had necessarily this alt mode, but there also might have been a few of these guys like in the background of the first 3-parter when they just kind of wanted to fill out the Decepticon ranks. So it's not as Thundercrackery as I originally thought, but definitely still got some Thundercracker vibes. But this is our only Voyager in the box set, and then we have 3 deluxes here. They come with all the accessories that I have attached here, and we have a couple alternate heads as well that I'll get into as we check out each individual one. But yeah, I think they came out great. I think this is a lot of fun, and I'm definitely really excited. I already switched out the head for the Quintesson Trooper just because I like that head a little bit better, but we'll get into it. So let's go ahead. Let's start with our Decepticon Seeker. So I think we're all pretty well acquainted with this mold by now. Not really anything new here, but it is kind of a fun color scheme for this mold, getting this kind of generic Decepticon Seeker, background cannon fodder character. I will say it was kind of weird how it was all folded up in the packaging. They had the tail fin here pieces folded down like for robot mode, and then the wings were kind of folded like this. It wasn't a big deal, but I will say some of these smaller wing pieces are a little warped as a result. So just something to be wary of. But yeah, overall, I think it's a really nice color scheme. I think it looks good. He does come with the 2 null rays here, so no problems whatsoever. Not really much else to talk about. There's no articulation or anything in this mode. Of course, it's a jet. But again, we've seen this one before. We're going to go through the transformation pretty quickly for this one. So I've gone ahead and removed the null rays. We're going to lift up the wing pieces here and spin these up like so. Flip this hinge up like that. We're going to split apart the legs and then lift this section up, and then we have to lift these open so that we can kind of accordion these out like so, and then close this up so that pegs onto there. Bring that out and peg that in, and then we are going to flip out the toes and heels, lift this up so that we can spin this around, and then fold this up. So flip up the toes and the heel, unhook that, bring that down, flip that up, and that's also going to unlock the ankle tilt. Then we can take this section and lift this back section away. There we go. We can flip the hands out, unhook the nose cone, spin this around, fold this down, close this up, Make sure that lines up so that'll actually close. There we go. Let me zoom out here a little bit. Then we can take this nose cone piece, flip this down, and flip this back, and that will sit down in this channel back here, exposing the head. And then we can open up this section here. I can never remember how this part opens up. I think this lifts like this. There we go. Lift that up so that we can flip this out and then close this back up and then fold the fist down. And that will give us our arms. So lift this up. Then flip this part out. Close that up. Push the hand down. And there we go. We have our Seeker in robot mode. Again, we've seen this one quite a few times at this point, but it's still a pretty solid mold. Might be showing a few signs of mold fatigue, but for the most part, I still think it looks pretty good. We can bring the null rays back in and attach them to the arms. I almost kind of wish the null rays were black or silver, just to break it up a little bit, but they still look pretty good. So here is our robot mode. You do have some posability with the wings here. They're on this hinge. So if you'd like to put them at more of like a 45-degree angle, you can do that, or have them straight across, whatever you prefer. Head sculpt. I get in a little bit closer there. Let me lift this up. The eyes are red, but they're really sunken back in there that it's kind of hard to see them. And I'm not really sure why. Is this hooked in all the way? There we go. I was like, I knew that wasn't hooked in all the way. So yeah, it's kind of difficult. I mean, the face is very nicely painted silver. And the red eyes are in there, but they're very sunken back. But he's got that kind of black helmet that we're used to. Head can swivel from side to side, look down, look up. You have the shoulder swivel, you have the hinge out to the side, you have bicep swivel, and like some of these are a little loose, and that's why I was saying you kind of starting to see signs of mold fatigue. They're a little loose. 90 degrees there in the elbow. I don't think the wrist moves at all because of the way it transforms. It does not. You can lift this up. There's no waist swivel, but you can kick decently far forward. Very far, well, I guess 45-degree angles out to the side. Thigh swivel. 90 degrees in the knee. And then that ankle tilt that I mentioned earlier. So maybe 45 degrees in terms of ankle tilt. I mean, you can tell that this is an older mold. I mean, first of all, it's kind of the classics mold that they revamped slightly for Earthrise. And at this point, Earthrise was 4 years ago. So they probably could do a little bit more with this mold, you know, going forward. Or I should say if they wanted to do a new Seeker mold. I mean, not that this one's terrible. I think it still holds up. But it was already kind of an older mold that they took from Classics and then kind of revamped it a little and upscaled it to Voyager. I do think it's better as a Voyager. I think that was the right call to make. But yeah, so you have some generic Decepticon Seekers getting ready to get blasted away by the Autobots, but I definitely, when they first showed pictures of this, I just thought, this is just Thundercracker, what are you talking about? But in person, and it might not even be coming across here on camera, it's definitely a lighter blue. It's definitely more of like a purplish blue, like a periwinkle, and it's kind of neat. I like it. Up next, we have the Quintesson Guard. Now, we've seen this mold twice before, once during Earthrise in, I think, almost this exact color scheme, and then it was repainted with more of a brown tone color scheme as part of that like Quintessa movie box set that I think was a PulseCon exclusive one year. So we've already seen this twice, so we're getting this again, I guess, just to fill out your ranks a little bit more if you don't have enough Quintesson guards. It's not even the Sharkticon, honestly. So, I mean, by this point, you've probably army built some Sharkticons, you've got Quintesson guards, you're ready to make that Quintessa playset, you know, and display a reality. So, it's a fun little mold, though. I mean, it doesn't really transform all that much, honestly. We'll get into it in a minute, but the tail kind of rotates around and you're done. I mean, there's really not too much to it, but I always thought it was kind of fun that they made this guy because he is in the movie. We see him very prominently in the movie, so I always thought it was kind of fun that they did make a figure for him. Now, you do get 2 head sculpts. This first one, I feel like, is the one that we see in the movie when they actually find Cup and Hot Rod and they kind of swarm them. So I do like this head sculpt a little bit better. It's just my personal preference. But you do get this head sculpt, which I believe this is the one from the PulseCon box set that I mentioned, or at least a repaint of the one from the PulseCon box set. So this guy's, you know, truly just stuff they had lying around that they decided to churn out again. I mean, technically, they all are. But I feel like this was the one that they had to manipulate the least, because I feel like this is the one we got. I wish I had it handy, and I don't, and I apologize for that. I'll have to look up pictures. Maybe I can find a picture of the Earthrise one and throw it here on the screen, because it really doesn't feel that different to me. It really just feels like we got this guy already, and then here's a repainted head that they already had lying around. But again, I don't mind it so much, because it was kind of, it's a simple mold, but it's kind of a fun mold. And these guys are definitely all over Quintessa, so if you are trying to make some kind of Quintesson display, you'd actually absolutely be set here. Comes with these accessories, so I'll go ahead and take these out, and you can have him dual wield these if you want, or put this together to make one kind of club. We see this on the show a lot as well, which I think is kind of fun. I think it's interesting that they're 2 different shades of gray. It's kind of hard to detect on camera, but this is definitely a darker gray than this is. It's kind of like how you can kind of see here on the body, you know, the gray paint. But then again, this one is a separate piece of play. Or there we go. This video is now in 3D. So let me put this back on. But you have these 2 different tones of gray where, like, I guess this is kind of closer to this. And then the paint is like a little bit lighter. It's kind of the same down here with the paint, and then this is a separate gray. It's pretty close, honestly. It's not too bad, but they are kind of different shades of gray. So that's going to do it for the accessories. I'll put them off to the side for a moment. Articulation-wise, you have a ball joint here. You can look up pretty far, look down, side to side, no problem. Popping the ball joint off is pretty simple. It's just, it pops into this channel here. So when you want to switch these out, it's not too bad. Swivel here for the shoulder. You have a hinge here, although it kind of hits into that, so it stops about there. Bicep swivel, 90 degrees there in the elbow. Wrist swivel. You can hopefully not pop this piece off and just lift it up, as I was attempting to do earlier. You do get a waist swivel. You can kick pretty far forward, pretty far back, and pretty far out to the side. So this guy's got hips for days. Thigh swivel there, 90 degrees in the knee. Pretty good ankle tilt. I feel like I'm just talking about a toy that I reviewed 4 years ago, which I kind of am. But here he is, the Quintesson guard. He's back. He's not really improved. He's as good as always. But he's fine. Honestly, I think the paint applications look good. I love the blue here on the arms. All of the paint for the head, the kind of collar area, I think that all looks really sharp. I don't remember this being so bland. I kind of remember this being green with painted spikes. I could be wrong. But that is just one big gray piece now. Oh, I forgot. You can also take this out. You can take the little tip of his tail out, and he can have a little blade. So that gives him a 3rd weapon. So he is armed to the teeth. Anyway, all right, let me go ahead. We'll get into his transformation here. I'll slide this tail piece back in here, which hopefully won't be too difficult. And I guess that's it. I guess that's in. Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's get into his transformation. It's a very basic transformation, and if you remembered from back in the day, it has not changed as far as I can tell. You have these tabs here on the inside of the forearms. They are going to tab into these tab slots that you can't see because they are obscured by shadow right there on the side. So this is going to come in and just tab in there, and we're going to do the same thing over here on this side. There we go. And we're done. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so, well, I'm really not. So we're going to spin the head around because you have to put this down. Otherwise, this piece is not going to be able to... And this is really, like, the tail connects to the top of the gator head, and it's difficult to pop off of here. Like, it's really snug. And I hope this doesn't cause problems down the road. Come on. Come on. Wiggle out of there. There we go. So basically what it is this tab in here is tabbing in right there, and it's snug. It's very snug. So rotate that head down, kind of push that down a little bit. That will allow this to pop up, so you can kind of push that down. And you can kind of see how like that fits into the channel there. So you want to put that fin in there if you have this head on. At this point, we're going to lift this up again. Spin the waist 180 degrees. Flip that back down. This is going to spin around. You can see that there is a mushroom peg right there. That's going to spin around on that. And this is going to come down. You can see these two big tabs right here, which are going to tab in right there. So this whole thing comes around and very snugly. Come along. It's really quite snug. I promise this is doable because I've done it before. There we go. So that pegs down in there, and that'll kind of pop the head all the way out. And then really you just kind of put them in a squat pose, and then flip these tiny little hands around. I guess actually you're supposed to rotate the fists down because that somehow miraculously hides them. I honestly think it looks better if you leave it like that, just me personally. Because if I do it like this, I'm seeing everything about the fist. But if I do it like this, I can kind of pretend he just has random... I don't know, they could have done something. If they could have just had these flip around underneath, I feel like that would have solved it. But whatever. Here you go. Here is his alt mode. The Gator Beast, whatever we're officially calling this. I love the gator head. I mean, it looks phenomenal. It's painted beautifully. The mouth opens, the inside's painted, all the teeth are painted. This is done very well. And I mean, this can lift up, this can lift down. Huge range of motion there. They did a really great job with that. The legs are just his legs from robot mode. I'm fine with this, you know, the gator tail back here. Again, I don't remember this being all a bland gray color, but maybe I'm misremembering it. The little gator hands, I guess they're fine. I wish they could have, I honestly think if they could have just, and I'm critiquing molds from 4 years ago, what's done is done, but if they could have just put the fist into the forearm, I really think everything else would have been fine. But I still think he's fun. I mean, I love the gator mouth. That's what you're buying this for. I mean, honestly, that's the funnest part. And you can store the weapon on the back, so if you put these two pieces together, and then there is a little slot right there, which can peg into either of these slots here, and that'll just store that on the back. Looks a little out of place, but if you're just looking for somewhere to store the weapon in this mode. So it's fun. It's a goofy mode, but I kind of love the gator head, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? So it's a wonky mold, but it's all these years later, it's still fun. Next up, we have the G2 Cybertronian Trooper, which is made from the Legacy Skullgrin mold, which I wasn't the hugest fan of. I mean, I'm a big Master Force Pretender guy, and I just thought that Skullgrin turned out a little weird, and the scales were all off with the other Pretenders, but that's an argument for another day. But I kind of really like this mold as a generic trooper, because then it just kind of feels like, okay, you know, some warlord, G-Axis, has mass-produced these little tank troopers, And so you just have this, little tank treads here. He's rolling around, he's firing. And when I think of it kind of like with 10 or 20 of these things, army-wise, marching at somebody, it works. I think it's a much better use of the mold. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these pieces off. But I do like how they kind of peg in, and then there's a little notch here that notches into the barrel just to kind of, keep it straight. I think that's really nice. These pieces are still what they were for Skullgrin. I think they're exactly the same. I think they're, I think they're white and painted gray. Or are they, yeah, I would say because they left these white. Plus, you'd have to put a lot of coat of white on top of the gray to make it stay white. So I'm going to say that they're white, painted gray, and they're kind of a more malleable plastic, just like they were for Skullgrin. But I think they're kind of cool, Are they swords? Are they guns? There's no need to decide. They can be both. So I think they're kind of fun, little versatile weapons. And then you just have this little tank. Not really much to write home about, but the turret can swivel here. The guns can move up and down to a certain degree. And I just think, as drones, I think they work perfectly. You just have these little tank drones, and then they can transform into troopers. I think it works. I really do. And I like the color scheme. On camera, it's definitely coming across more blue. In person, it's more green than it is blue. Kind of not a forest green. I don't know what to categorize this color. Where's Crayola when you need him? But in any case, I do like this color green. I think it works well with the white and the gray. So let's go ahead. Let's get into transformation here. I'm going to go ahead and just remove this piece. You technically don't have to. I just find it easier to put it off to the side personally. Basically, you're going to start by unhooking the tread piece, and then that's just going to flip down. So we're going to unhook that and bring this down, and then we are going to split the legs apart, and then you have to kind of use this weird joint. So there is this weird joint inside here that you have to kind of bring all the way out, and it's kind of hard to tell where this is supposed to go, but this actually goes in here, and then this has to rotate down like that. So that's how the leg is supposed to look. So that's it folded up. That's it in the leg configuration. Then we are going to flip out the foot. We are going to rotate the tread. And then this is going to fold in. And then this is going to fold up. And that will all snap into place. And there's our one leg. So we're going to repeat the process over here. Flip the foot out. Bring this all the way up. See, this tab, it's kind of hard to see, but this white tab in here is going to fit in a channel right here on the leg. And that's what puts that up and keeps it in position. There we go. And then bring this down, fold this, and this is all going to peg in. And there we go. We have our two legs. Then we are going to bring the legs straight down because this is obviously going to be the crotch plate. And then this all lifts up like that. Let me zoom out here. And then we are just going to unhook what will become the arms, flip them out. This piece here, slide that up. You're going to open up this chest plate here, flip the head around, close that up, and then close that up. Now the one thing is, it comes with two different heads, and I really don't feel like either head clears this area well. So when you're flipping that around, you can see this cutout area. The head has to store in there, and neither of them really work that well. So for this one, you have to push the horns down. If you have the horns straight up, it will not clear. And the other head, I feel like, doesn't clear at all, but we'll get to that in a moment. So rotate at the bicep, flip out the hands, and there you go. You have your G2 Cybertronian Trooper. I just think the head sculpts are really awesome on these. You have these crazy skulls. Looks fantastic. I'm even a bigger fan of the second head sculpt because this almost feels like an old-time Viking helmet with like a skull head underneath, which I just think is really cool. Now, do these horns... Okay, these horns will rotate too, so you have to rotate the horns on either head depending on which one you want to leave when you do the transformation. But it's very simple. These just slide off. So you can kind of see the track here on the back. and you just push this forward, and that slides right off, and you can see the little track there. And then you take the second head, and you just line up the track, and you just slide that right on, and that's how you switch heads. It's very simple to do. Very, very easy to switch back and forth, and I think this is the coolest. I love the look of this. He just looks like an old Viking robot. Something you'd see in, like, the old gladiatorial, like, where Megatron got his start. The gladiatorial arenas on Cybertron. Like, I love this helmet. I just think that looks so cool. If you want, you can go ahead and pop this on the back, like so, and give him the little tail. Now, the little tail, of course, is left over from Skullgrin. If you don't really like that look, you can just tuck it away if you don't want him to have a tail, which I don't think it really makes sense for him to have a tail. But it's up to you. Give him a tail, don't give him a tail, whatever you like. Got the G2 Decepticon symbol there on the forearm. I like that. Head's got a lot of nice articulation, side to side, looking down. Can't really look back all that much, but it can look down, sort of side to side. Not bad there. Swivel, hinge, pretty much 90. Bicep swivel, little over 90 degrees there in the elbow. Nothing in the wrist. Waist swivel. Kicks forward, kicks pretty far back. Can kick out to the side decently as long as you kind of push past. So you have this little, like, hip spike piece, but you can kind of push past that and get the articulation you need. Thigh swivel, knees, ankle tilt. So I like this a lot. The other thing you can do, take this off, take the guns off, and put the swords on here. And I kind of like this look even more because they have this kind of Viking motif going on. So I kind of like the idea of the swords on the back. I just think that's a really cool look. And then he can dual wield the guns or dual wield the swords or mix and match. Whatever you like. You could even peg the guns here on the shoulders. So you got a lot of options. I just think it's cool. I think this would be one that I would love to have 5 or 6 of, because I could customize them to make them all look somewhat unique between the different heads, the different configurations for the swords and the guns, putting them on the shoulders, whatever. I think you could make a lot of options out of this. This guy's really great. Honestly, I like this so much more than I thought I was going to. I don't have a strong connection to, like, the G2 comics or G-Axis in general, just because, I don't know, it was around when I was, you know, buying comics, but it just kind of, I passed it by and I didn't really get into it. But I love this. I really do. The colors are fun. The head sculpts are great. I mean, honestly, both of these head sculpts are fantastic. The blue of the eyes there is fantastic. I love that. I just don't know. This speaks to me. I don't know what it is. Robot skull troop builders, sign me up. I'm here for it. Let's go. And then last up, we have the animated Auto Trooper, which I have to admit I don't really remember at all from animated. I have not seen animated in quite some time. But we do already have animated Prowl in the collection, and we know that animated Bumblebee and Optimus are coming soon in the first wave of United. So start army building some animated stuff. This is obviously a reuse, I don't even think it's much of a retool of Siege Ironhide, but it works. I really like the color scheme. It's simple, it's clean. The white, the black, this teal color really, really works. It kind of almost reminds me of like a G.I. Joe Snowcat, and I feel like they could very minimally turn this into Snowcat from Energon. I just feel like the colors are almost already there. Add a little bit of purple and you're ready to go. You have the cool Auto Trooper Autobot symbol there on the front. I think that's really cool. There's not really much to this. There's certainly no articulation of any kind. It's just a bus. But it rolls decently. And like I said, it looks clean. I just like it. The color scheme's really, really cool. You get the hammer weapon done in black. It's got the little bit of blue there to match the color scheme. Looks really good. Yeah, this is another one that I've always liked this mold, but it's been done to death so many times. I will say I ended up liking the Siege version of it more than the Earthrise one, because the Siege one is what it is. It's not trying to be something else. This is what it started out as. It's a Cybertronian vehicle. It works. It transforms easy. Everything looks good. The Siege one is trying to pack that piece on the top. The Siege one. The Earthrise one is trying to pack that piece on the top, which doesn't really work. And then they're trying to cover up these sections. And, you know, it's just not working out. But I think the Siege one, because it's unapologetic, it's just being itself. I always felt like this one was more successful than the Earthrise version they tried to turn it into with minimal retooling. Like those feet are still hanging off the back in the Earthrise version, and that doesn't look good. But here it's fine. It looks like that's what it's supposed to be because it's its own thing. It's not trying to be a van. It's just trying to be its own vehicle. Anyway, that's a rant. So that came out of nowhere. Anyway, I like this. I really do like this. Let's go ahead and transform it. So we've seen this transformation before. It's pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and just split this down the center. These pieces are going to flip back like so. This is going to kind of rotate up. This should pop back like this. This should pull out. I can never get this to move anymore, but I guess we're just going to swivel. I thought that they were supposed to pull this section out and that would make it easier clearance issues, but so be it. This is going to come down like this. This is going to fold in, fold down, fold in, fold down. We're basically done at this point. I'm going to zoom out the camera. We are going to disconnect the arms and fold them down, and they're basically ready to go. Not much else to do there. This is going to, I believe the head has to flip. No, this pops in first, and then this flips down. Yes, maybe. Yes. And then you take this and use that hinge to sit in the recessed area right here. And there we go. We have our animated... Why is the head so tight? There we go. Animated Auto Trooper. He's just cool. I don't know. It's just something about the color scheme. It works. I like it. Go ahead and give him the giant gun, which totally works. Or he can use it as a hammer. So you pop this down and give him... You know, you can connect the hammer there, or technically you can put the hammer here. Whichever you like. He's got 2 hammer configurations. That's 2 hammer configurations. But yeah, he's cool. Now he does come with another head. So you have this red visor head, and it's very much like the Cybertronian Trooper, where you just slide this off. This one I feel like is even easier. And then this just slides on in its place, and there you go. I like that. I think I like the red visor better, if I'm being honest. I like this one too. I really do. But that one's just so much more menacing. That red visor, that pops. Because there's not a lot of red. There's a lot of blue, and the blue looks good. But that red just pops. You got the black, the white, the red, the blue. It's all working. It's all looking good. Just another way to get me to buy this mold again. I mean, how many of these do I have at this point? I've got this mold as Ironhide and Ratchet, and then the, like, Quintesson slave Ratchet from the Earthrise cartoon. And then, or was he a zombie? I don't know. But the, like, rusted one. And now I've got this one again here. They just keep finding new ways to make me continue to buy this mold. And it works. He looks good. I like him a lot. I really like it a lot. It's a very sharp color scheme. Really works. Articulation-wise, you've probably seen it. But we'll go through it quick. Head, I don't know why. This one is like really weirdly tight on mine. Hopefully over time that'll adjust. It can swivel side to side. Look up slightly, down slightly. I don't know. Mine's just kind of tight. I don't really know why. Got a hinge here. Actually, that's a hinge. This is a swivel. Swivel, hinge, swivel there for the bicep, 90 degrees for the elbow. Do we have a wrist swivel? We do. Got a waist swivel, all kinds of hips, moving front, moving back, moving to the side. You can do, look at this, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. Will that actually balance? If I ankle tilt him a little bit. Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff. Got a thigh swivel, 90 degrees in the knee, ankle tilt as I just showed. It's a good time. It's a mold you've seen several times, and this thing's been kicking around for quite some time. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5, 6 years ago, maybe. Siege? Was it really that long ago? Yeah, it's getting close. It's getting close. Anyway, he looks good. I like him. I definitely think this is the superior head sculpt, but that's not to say that this one's not good, because I like this one too. But the red just looks so menacing, and I like this quite a bit. So I gotta say, don't sleep on the Troop Builder pack. I actually am enjoying this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I always knew I would like it, but I'm really enjoying all of these. Now, I have to admit, these two are probably my favorite, the Auto Trooper and the Cybertronian Trooper. And it's kind of funny because those are probably the two I have the least connection to the fiction for, because I watched Animated once a long time ago and I don't remember these guys at all, and I really didn't read the G2 Transformer comics, so I really don't know who these guys are, but I love them. They just look so good. They're great uses of molds. Honestly, these might be the best uses of these molds. I think this is definitely way more successful than Skullgrin was with this mold. I absolutely love this. And Ironhide was fine with this mold back in the day, but it's just such a clean, sharp color scheme and head sculpt for this mold. It just looks phenomenal. You know, the Decepticon Seeker I ended up liking more than I thought I was going to. When I saw original pictures, I just thought to myself, that's just Thundercracker. I don't know what you're talking about. But in person, it's definitely a more purpley blue. And so it does look distinct enough. And it does kind of remind me of those background cannon fodder Decepticons from that first More Than Meets the Eye 3-parter back in the day. The Quintesson Guard, I mean, what can I say? He's fine. I really don't think he looks all that different from back in the day. And you probably already have 2 or 3 of these kicking around. So, hey, what's another one? He's fine. I'm trying to think. There probably was a better troop builder they could have come up with instead of bringing that thing back from Earthrise. But I mean, I guess this mold's even older than that, so what do I know? In any case, I really like this. I already got a second one of these so I could display each different head. But if these go on clearance eventually at Target, I might get another 1 or 2 just because I really like them. I really, really like them. I think it's a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend checking this 4-pack out. Like I said, it should be available at your local Target stores. I think when they did the newest IO reset that they were part of that, so they should be around. Otherwise, you can check the Target app. I don't think these are going to be too hard to find. They're pretty fun. Honestly, I really, really like them. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.